Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. I forgot to turn... Why do I keep forgetting to turn this on? Welcome to Fresh Gear Friday. It's time. What's it time for? It's time to review the Hummingbird V4 that Newbie Drone very kindly just sent me. We are going to set it up, fly it, upgrade it, tune it. Maybe it doesn't need tuning, but I almost always tune stuff. So we'll talk about the tuning. We'll fly it as it is. Although we are actually going to modify it before we fly it because it's on PH 2.0 and I'm just not doing it. I'm not going to fly anything on PH 2 anymore. I only have like 2 of the batteries left. And it's just silly. PH 2.0 is just silly. It's all about BT 2.0 and A30. So we are gonna modify it immediately to put it onto BT 2.0 A30, which you should do too. If you should for sure stop flying PH 2.0. You get less runtime and less power. It's all bad. PH 2.0 is all bad, and it's really not that difficult to either cut off the PH 2.0 connector and solder on a BT 2.0 connector. I actually think it's easier to desolder the PH 2.0 connector from the board and then solder on a BT 2.0 connector. I will show you how to do that today, give you a bunch of soldering tips in the process, and then we'll get more power and have more runtime. Cool? Speaking of, I need to put some batteries on the charger here. We're going to run these 260 mAh batteries through it because I've been pretty impressed by how much they're like over a gram lighter, which really makes a difference. You don't get as much power, but flying inside the weight is more important than the power. Like with these batteries, you get enough power for flying inside the house, and then that gram, I think it's like 1.1 grams versus most 300 mAh batteries. That really does make a difference. And so yeah, we're gonna do some 260s. So we're not gonna like really, well, let me at least put one 300 mAh. Oh, I have two 300 mAh batteries that are already charged. So we'll run these for a runtime comparison. But see, the runtime is going to go out the window anyway because we're putting it on a BT 2.0. So like, you know, the runtime that we're going to get here is going to be significantly longer because we're going to swap the battery lead. Turning off the brim has made it way easier for me to get prints off of the A1 mini plate, which is great. I can now just kind of ram the plastic razor blade right on through these guys and pop multiple ones off at once. I also talked to Brian from Brain 3D, and he gave me some cool tips and showed me how to do manual supports, which was really, really cool. And yeah, so that was pretty fun. The next thing I'm gonna do, because they do still stick really, really hard, is somebody suggested turning down the temperature of the build plate, and I'm pretty sure that I turned it up a little bit at some point. I don't remember if it was in here. Print temperature, nozzle. Oh, it might have been the nozzle that I turned up. Textured PEI plate, initial layer, 45C, other layers. Let's go down to 42. Cool. Textured PEI plate, that's what I'm using. Yeah, that's neat. They let you turn the temperature up and down on each individual plate. That's pretty cool. So yeah, lots of fun stuff going on tonight. Hey, I still have a bunch of these goggle straps available. These are free. Just buy something on my Etsy store and put in the notes, you know, cat/trans pride goggle strap, and I'll throw one into your order for you. These are straps by Pretty Fly or Broken Prop Crew, and they're super high quality, really, really nice. And yeah, light blue and pink. Little cats. Get you a free strap, my friends. I still have like probably 10 left. If you know somebody that might dig a strap like this, the reason why I tell you to buy something on my Etsy store is that most things are $5 on my Etsy store, and that's what the shipping's going to cost. So get yourself something nice on the Etsy store, and then I'll throw that in there. Just make sure you leave a note. 661FPV and Great Scott, I still need to hear from you guys. I need your addresses. For the BT 3.0 batteries that you won. If any of you know 661 or Great Scott, shoot them a message. I know that they're in my community. I don't know what their name is on Discord. I don't know what their name is on my Patreon. I don't know what their name is on anywhere that I can actually message them. And YouTube makes it impossible for you to like message people or even look up their names. It's maddening. And so yeah, I'm stuck with these things. I will be, since I'm scraping these off the plate here, if you see me kind of moving around tonight's stream, I will be ripping support material off of all these prints down here on the desk surface, so don't think I'm doing anything terrible. I'm just, you know, going through the incredibly satisfying act of pulling support material off of all these prints. This is another sheet of prints that I basically... I've got this full print bed of all the different bat wings, a bunch of Brain mounts, and some other fun stuff. And I'm going through and I'm doing a full plate in every single color that I've got. I have already run the full rainbow. Look how satisfying this is. Look at. I got the full fucking rainbow of all these prints and propodials as well. And so I'm doing all the colors, and then I'm gonna all the colors of the filament that I have, thanks to McConnell Studios. and then I'm gonna take pictures and put them all up on the Etsy store. And I can't really sell the Bribrain mounts, or this is also Quad 6.6's mount here. I can't really sell those, but I am going to be selling. I talked to Timmons, and he's cool with me selling the Batwing mounts. If you're desperate for one of these other mounts, just throw it in the notes, and I'll throw it in there. But you know, you can't buy these Bribrain mounts from me because I don't even know who created them. But since I have them, if you need them, I'll throw them in. So yeah, there's that. That'll be fun. And that, you know, charging for the Batwing mounts will hopefully offset the cost of the filament once I have to start buying it, and or the cost of, you know, the wear and tear parts on the 3D printers, basically the nozzle really. But it'll also help me keep this thing going. This is a completely crowdfunded thing that I've got going here. CiottiFPV.com has a whole bunch of ways that you can support me. Wow, without the brims, this is 1,000 times easier. I used to have to fight with each individual thing on this plate, and in that little rage, I just knocked all of those off. That's great. It's easy to knock these little guys off, the little bat wings. It's still a little bit tough to knock these guys off. They just have like a big support on there, and that support is like really, really, really stuck down, which is why I'm hoping maybe dropping that temperature down 3 degrees Celsius will just make them release a little bit better. It's just when there's like a big, although that one came off super easy. This is way different. Also, I cleaned this plate with, I hadn't cleaned the plate yet. I was trying my best to not, so like when I scrape stuff off the plate with this, it prints this this cool little tower here, and so I use the tower as like I put my palm on the tower, and then I drop my fingers down like on the prints, and that's how I hold the plate for when I'm smashing through stuff with the plastic razor blade. And so I've been pretty good about not touching the plate surface with my greasy ass Dago fingers, but you know, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 10 plates worth, and I think maybe I'd started to get some grease on the plate. Brian from Brain had said like, yeah, make sure you wipe the plate down, and so yeah, this is the first time that there was actually a clean plate on here. So it's maybe a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I would think that a greasy plate would make it easier for these prints to release, but what do I know? I've been 3D printing for only a week. Although, you know, as with all things on the internet, that means that I'm the foremost leader in 3D print information, and I'm qualified to give rock solid concrete advice to everyone about how they should set their 3D printers up and what they should do. That's how the internet works, right? If you've done something for 5 minutes, then you should tell everyone what's what, and not have even a millisecond of pause that you might not know what the fuck you're talking about yet. And there it is. That was ripping an entire plate off. That is so much better without the brims turned on. And then this just rips right off, and we good. The way that I'm cleaning the plate is super easy too. I've got this awesome little thing of alcohol. This little container is made by Menda, M-E-N-D-A, and it's got a little lid on it. You open the lid and you just push down on the top, and then it's a little dish on the inside, and it pulls the liquid up. And then I have a bunch of gun cleaning patches for my airsoft days, and I just drop it down on there, push it, wipe it down, and we're golden. Super straightforward. Skydar, thank you for the super chat. I will get chat opened up in a second here and read it, see what you had to say. Ah! Ah! Woo! And our plate is clean. Woo! Yikes. Ugh. Whew. Usually I use this for putting toothbrushes in to then brush off the flux residue, but it's super cool that it's now double duty, and it just makes it super easy. I don't have to have a little squirt bottle or anything like that. That little tower thing, it's called a prime tower. Okay. Tomorrow I'm going back to the RC Drift Car place. They're having a big-ass event, and apparently there's going to be a ton of amazing drivers there. So, yeah, that'll be ultra fun. Patrons, you guys have a link. I think I just linked it on the Discord. I don't know if I made a full-blown I might have made a full-blown Patreon post, so you might have an email as well. But at the very least, over on the Discord in the Patron Hangout section, you've got a link to the edit that I did from the 120 frame per second test footage. I also did put it up on Instagram, so anybody can go look at it on Instagram, but it looks like ass on there. If you want to look at like proper 4K version, a proper 4K version of it, yeah. Join my Patreon for $3 whole a month. That's only 10 cents a day. And you can see what the DJI 04 Lite will do in that kind of setting. In the chat, Cheetonian was first, Douglas 6 was next, Frank Nicholas, Spaceman Smith, Hypnos, Doubles FPV, Notice Craig, Northern Tier, Brian Tegger, Big Whoop, Cole Powers, Borked Bits, Uriel, Johnny V, Cole Powers, Frosty, Brian Tegger, Elias, Big Whoop. Do you know the origin of Big Whoop? Have you been into FPV long enough to know what Team Big Whoop is? We're going old school with that one. Notice, Krhom, Brian Tegger, Andrew Taylor, Everyday with Bruno, Craig, Banty. Two different people, Craig and then Banty. Render, Brandon's Baked Beans, Craig Notice, Curtis Hayes, Cheetonian. I think I got everybody. Jimmy Sprinkles. What's up, friends? Flush. Uriel. Skydar with a $5 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, I got 3 HDZero AIO race quads. Tried different radios. ELRS keeps dropping so bad they won't arm. Once armed, they fly fine. Any ideas? I believe that is a known thing with the AIO 5 AIO, right? Chat, back me up on this. That's a known thing, right? There's all kinds of ELRS problems with HDZero AIO 5 AIOs. Contact HDZero. I believe they are replacing them. Another option is to try a different module or transmitter, but contact HDZero. That's insane that you've got 3 of them that are doing it. That is maddening. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that is a known thing. Even if it's not a known thing, contact HDZero and be like, yo, here's what's going on. What the hell's happening? They have a Discord where they're very active on. That's probably going to be your best bet, getting in touch with them. But from what I understand, they are... It won't be hard to get in touch with them. So, yeah. Hit them up. See what's going on. They'll hopefully take care of you. Ah! 1 down. 20 to go. In the chat, if you want to talk directly to me, type CiottiFPV. It'll light up an orange for me. If you want to get somebody else's attention, just do that. Just type their name. You can put an @ in front of it, but you don't have to. And then to support me, if you want to see this continue, because that's how it works. If there's things in the world that you love and you want to see them continue, give them a little bit of your money. Go over to CiottiFPV.com. Here comes the link in the chat. At the very least, change all of your bookmarks to affiliate links. It's totally free for you to do this. If you ever order from any one of these websites, if you hit someone's affiliate link like within a week before you place your order, that person will get a small percentage of your entire order. It makes a huge difference. It is free money. It also tells these companies that we're mentioning their name. When these companies so, you know, if you guys want to see me test more BetaFPV stuff, if BetaFPV sees a ton of affiliate link orders coming in with my code, they're going to know that I'm mentioning them a lot, and they're going to send me more stuff. So it accomplishes a bunch of things using affiliate links. And so change your bookmarks to these affiliate links so that you don't have to remember to come to my website. If you don't use affiliate links and you just type the beginning of a website into your URL bar like me, come through and type BETA into your URL bar for BetaFPV. For you, it'll probably suggest BetaFPV.com. Off on the right side of that suggestion, there's an X where you can remove that suggestion. Or sometimes on some browsers, you have to right-click it. There's a way to remove your current suggestion. Remove it, and then come through here and hit my affiliate link a couple times. Or, I mean, just like what you could probably also do is just open my website up in a window and then hold either Control or Command and just hit these links a bunch of times in a row. Bang, 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 bang. This is telling your browser, yo, I go to this link a lot. And so every single time I go to this link, it's grenading the computer. Every time I start typing BETA for BetaFPV, I've been to this specific affiliate link a bunch of times, and it's going to maybe start suggesting that. Let me close that before it completely loses its mind. Oh, boy. There it goes. And we're back. So, yeah, there you go, friends. That's how you support me. Oh, let's pause this. That's how you support me. Patreon helps me out the most, and it's only $3 a month. That's 10 cents a day, and you get a ton of benefits from that. Well worth it. Technical articles on the website, YouTube playlists with unlisted stuff that you'll love watching, full access to the Discord channel, lots of good stuff. Well worth $3. If you want to get in on monthly giveaways and maybe win $50, $60, $70 worth of stuff, all you got to do is go from the $3 a month tier to the $5 a month tier. That's a pretty good deal. That'll get you entered to win toothpick stuff every single month. You don't have to be on the giveaway live stream. You just have to bump your tier up from 3 to 5. Pretty good deal. There's an Etsy store with a ton of really fun stuff. There's a Fiverr page where you can work one-on-one with me. And there's some other fun stuff over on me.com. Cool. Do it. And I'll keep doing this. In the chat, Craig said, CiottiFPV, howdy gangly gang. Craig also says, switch to BT 2.0 on the NBD Hummingbird V4. Yep, we're going to do that before I even fly it. Because I'm not going to dig the couple PH2 batteries out that I've got in order to fly them. It's just silly. Everything should have A30 or BT 2.0 at this point. Craig says, I'm still using your PH 2.0 batteries. I mean, if you have a bunch of PH2 batteries, by all means run them. I've just gotten rid of all mine. So like what I do is I try to have one of all things so that I can like weigh them, so that if you guys, you know, are asking about a specific battery, I might have it. So I have one of a bunch of different PH 2.0 batteries. RDQ 300 mAh, RDQ 250 mAh, NBD Drone 300 mAh, NBD Drone 250, right? But they're buried in a box, and I'm just not gonna dig them out because also I'm very spoiled when it comes to tiny whoops, and if I fly a tiny whoop on PH 2.0, like 90% of my review is going to be the runtime sucks and the power sucks, but that's because of PH 2.0. If I put it onto BT 2.0 A30, I'm going to review it a lot more fairly. You know what I mean? So yeah, I flew PH 2.0 way into BT 2.0 because I had a whole bunch of them. And I just kept flying them until the batteries started to sag really bad, and then it was like, perfect. Now's my time to get rid of them. So yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with flying a bunch of PH 2.0 batteries that you've got that haven't fallen off the cliff yet. Fly them hard and fly them often to get them to go off the cliff so that you can swap over to BT 2.0, because good lord, do they fly better. And you get more runtime, so you fly more and better. Wow, this one doesn't want to release. What the hell's that about? Oh, nope. It was just... That was weird. Let's see if the other side is as grumpy. Now, the other side came off fine. Huh. Everyday with Bruno says, was confused. CiottiFPV was on, and it's still daylight. Yeah, right. Elias says, I broke the UFL connector off of the Air 65 AIO. Is it possible to solder it back, or should I not even try? I mean, you might as well try, because the AIO is worthless without it, right? But the long and short of it is, if when the UFL broke off, it ripped the pads off with it, you're pretty screwed. If it didn't, so you've got the PCB, you've got a layer of adhesive, and then you've got your copper pad on top of that. And then you've got solder, and then the UFL is soldered down, right? And so when that UFL comes off, if just the UFL pops off, then you've still got that layer of solder and that pad and the adhesive and the PCB. Sometimes what happens is it rips the pad off with it. So the UFL, the solder, and the pad come off. And so now you just have the adhesive and the PCB. In that case, you're screwed. Technically, there's a trace, a little thin bit of conductive material that's running up to that pad, where that pad used to be, I should say. And so technically you can scrape the top of the PCB off to expose that trace, and then you can try to solder to that trace. It's itty bitty, it's a really hard job to do, and it's never going to be strong. So anytime I've ever done that, I get like one more battery out of it, and then the antenna just rips off, because your contact patch is minuscule, because it's just that itty bitty little trace. So yeah, you'll see it. It'll either be metal or it won't. If it's metal, the pad is probably still there, and you can just drop it, put that UFL back on, and be really precise with the tip of the soldering iron. There's 3 points. The left and right, those are ground, and then up on the top or the bottom, there's a smaller point. That's the actual signal. So yeah, give it a shot. Unless the pad broke off. If the pad broke off, don't even bother. Craig says, run 260 mAh and 300 mAh. Curious how different. Notice says, BetaFPV C03 is in stock at Pyrodrone. I didn't realize that the C03 went out of stock. That's interesting. C03 is, we've, in our little community here, kind of agreed that that is the best looking ultra lightweight tiny whoop camera. It's not without its pains in the ass. It's a weird shape. And so it's kind of annoying to find a mount for it. There is a BriBrain mount that works awesome with it. I'm sorry, not a actually, there probably is a BriBrain mount for it. There are mounts that work great for it. Also, the BetaFPV banana hammock style mount actually does work really well, as long as you get the camera rotated correctly in the mount, and then E6000 the camera down. The problem that mount has is even when you crank the little screw down to tighten it up, the camera will still rotate in there. So you need to get the camera rotated correctly. There's no way to do that. It just free rotates in there. So you got to kind of fly it, or find a flat spot and put like a bubble level, or you got to figure out a way how to get that camera rotated dead even, and then E6000 that fucker down, because it's gonna rotate in that mount. It's the only problem with that mount. Other than that, the mount is like shockingly durable, and it doesn't allow the camera to slam into the AIO, breaking the camera or your AIO. So yeah, we don't have many great camera mounting setups in the Tiny Whoop world, unbelievably. And that is one of the better ones, even though it does certainly have its pains in the ass. But yeah, it's one of the better ones for sure. Get off! Get off! This is a run trying some of Brian's settings. So one of the things that Brian had me do, Brian from Brain that is change the layer thickness from 2 millimeters to 2.5. He has done a lot of 3D printing, and he is a huge fan of 2.5 over 2. Apparently 2 is just a little bit too small. 2.5 is a little bit thicker, so you get a little bit more strength out of it, but it doesn't have any of the... He said, like, 3 is too much, and then 2 is just a little bit too little. 2.5 is where to go. And he also mentioned, like, with 2.5... I forget. He had lots of intelligent things to say, and I remember... I remember some of them, but... What's the... There's a thing with the brain. It's like, within 5 minutes, you remember... like 70% of what you've learned, and then like within 24 hours you only remember like it's some really low number, like 30% or 20% or something like that. And I talked to him yesterday, so I've forgotten some of the things, unfortunately. Krhom says, I find pliers can help a lot pulling them. You just squish them horizontally and they pop off. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Just, yeah, because that's cool. One of the things that Brian did tell me is, like, you get under them and then twist. And boy, did that work. But man, taking the brims off made the biggest difference. This plate was super easy to get these to release from. So I'm not complaining about prints releasing anymore. That was... big difference. I can tell at 2.5 millimeters layer height, the prints are just a little uglier. Like I can just kind of see the layer lines a little bit more on some of these. No big deal. I'd rather it be stronger and uglier. Just like my ex-wife. Yeah, there you go. Skydar, thank you again for the super chat. Uriel says they are thin, bendable plates while bending the prints pop off. What's that mean? Thrash FPV says dry your filament seems to be a lot of their solution to every unrelated printing problem. Is that true? I will not be spending any time on any of the 3D printing, the places where 3D printing folks hang out, because I can already tell that the 3D printing community is way worse than the FPV community in terms of people not knowing what they're talking about and just giving dumb advice. And so I'm spending no time on those communities to get to see what the terrible advice is that they inevitably give all over the place. But yeah, that is not surprising that is a common thing. Oh man, this did not print well at all here. This print is ugly. Uggo. What happened here? Huh. This one's going in the garbage. Did this one print any better? I'm also messing around with like changing the orientation of these. And yeah. This print here doesn't like this orientation. I stood this one up. So like initially I was using the auto orientation in the Bamboo software, which actually seemed to work pretty good. Now I'm changing that up a little bit and starting to kind of run into some issues. Yeah, both of these prints. So these prints are bat wings for Mobula 7 V4 frames, actually. That Timmons designed. It sits on the front, and then it's got 2 holes where you can screw the camera directly into. And it's a very challenging print, I think, because it's a very odd shape, and there's really like no flat surfaces for this thing to print. Like every single time you think there's going to be a flat surface, there's a little knobbly bitch. And it's got a bunch of little angles and whatnot. And so I've been changing the orientation of this thing. And so this most recent run, I changed it to print like this. And it's real ugly on this face, and it can't be ugly on this face because this is where those screw holes are. And so yeah, this ain't great. I don't think these are usable. Boy, that got very weird. I'm gonna try to just print these. I'm going to do a plate just printing these, and I'm going to drop the layer height back down to 2 millimeters because it just, there's these tiny little threaded bits here where you drive those tiny little screws into on the front of the Nano 3 and the FXT camera, and they're just really, really small, and it kind of looks like it's struggling with that thicker with 2.5 millimeters instead of 2. So I'll play around with that and see what's what. Uriel says, use 2-sided tape and heat up the bed a little bit. No heat while printing. I've heard that. I've heard to get a little bit of heat into the bed to pull them off there. But I'm happy with this now. Craig says, sent you a PayPal. Damn, Craig Myers with a $25 PayPal. Thank you, brother. He says, glad to see you 3D printing. Seems to work well with Whoop flying. Thanks for your positive attitude. Thank you, dude, for supporting this so I can keep doing it. Very cool of you. What is this? YouTube, stop emailing me. Vimeo. Oh, my God. I haven't gotten a Vimeo email in 1,000 days and nights. Big Whoop says, yeah, I know of Team Big Whoop. It was a coincidence, I promise. Very cool. Yannick says, happy Friday. I'm just glad you've been in FPV for long enough to know about it. Elias says, you don't need brims with TPU. It sticks well enough on the build plate. And you need the prime tower only when you're printing multicolor / multi-material. Otherwise, you waste material. Yeah, I was going to turn the prime tower off, but it really makes holding on to the plate a lot easier, and I read that it also cleans the nozzle really well, and so I said, you know what, screw it, I'll leave it on, because it really does make it easy to not get my fingers all over that build plate when I'm scraping shit off, and it's not much material, right? It's just like one quick little layer per. So yeah, it's fine. I'm printing all of this like tiny stuff, and like I'm not even leaving a dent in these giant rolls of filament that I've got. So yeah, it's fine. Yannick says happy Friday. Jimmy Sprinkle says, I feel when I fly I rock a lot. Correction over correction on the roll axis. I fly 50, 920.6 on all axes. Do you think it's a rates thing, noob thing? It's basically a noob thing. Overcorrecting. So rates, like, you do want to spend some time like nailing your rates down. And so, like, if you're doing a full roll and you overcorrect and then you have to go back. All right, so if you go out and do a whole bunch of full rolls, right, left, front, back, if you always over-rotate, turn your maximum velocity down until it evens out. You want to over rotate the same amount as you under rotate. Eventually, once you nail down your timing, you will always go into the plastic for 0.76 seconds, and you will always land level. Not exactly level, but close enough where it doesn't make any difference. That comes with thousands and thousands of batteries. In the interim, like, your brain has like sort of a pacing to it, and your brain, even if you're new, it has an amount of time that you think you need to hold the stick over against the plastic before you pull it back to center. And so one of the easiest ways to dial rates in is to sort of utilize that timing that your brain already has. And then when you watch your flight footage back, as long as you don't think that those rolls are too fast or too slow, then you're good to go. And so again, what you do is you just go out and for an entire battery, you just do right flip, right flip, right flip, right flip, right flip, right flip, left, 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 front, 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 back, 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 back. And every time you land, you just take note of if you went too far or if you didn't go far enough. And if you're almost always going too far, then you turn that maximum rotational velocity down. Right? And you need to do it for all four axes because you want to have your rates the same, right? So you do it rolling to the right a whole bunch, and then okay, I'm over rotating too often. And then you do it to the left a bunch, and you're like, okay, I'm over rotating there too often. You do it front, and you're like, oh, I'm under rotating there. You do it back, you're like, oh, I'm over rotating there. So 3 out of 4 is over rotating. You turn your maximum rotation down a little bit, and you just fix your timing on the pitch forward axis, right? You fix the 1 out of 4 that's the oddball. And so that's a way to get that a little bit better. But you will, not always, but for a long time, you will not land perfectly flat. You will almost always over or under rotate. And one of the easiest ways to get around it is just to stop doing snap rolls, because it's like snap rolls are fun, and I guess, and snap rolls are fun when you're new, and they are a good way of checking a tune, but nobody wants to see you do snap rolls. Like, anybody that's watched more than 3 FPV videos knows that a snap roll is just this, and there's like no real skill to it, and like there's just nobody wants to see it. It's like filler. And anybody that's not an FPV pilot, they especially don't want to see it because they've never seen it before, right? They don't do snap rolls on TV shows. They don't do snap rolls in movies. They don't do snap rolls anywhere else but in FPV. And so like 99% of the population doesn't want to see snap rolls. The 1%, less than 1% of the population that flies FPV, most of us don't really want to see them either. So stop doing them. And that's an easy way to fix that. But the core problem of correction is that it is absolutely an inexperienced thing. Eventually that goes away. If you want to be more mindful and fix that problem earlier, which is what I would suggest, and it's, you know, what I work with people on the Fiverr sim sessions, one-on-one sim training sessions. It's all about the way that I describe it is, there's a couple different ways to think about it. Drew Camden calls it, he uses the word commitment. I use the words leave it. Like, leave the sticks where they are, right? If you're stop, leave it. The stick was here, leave it. See what happens. Fly it around like this. Don't correct it. When you come around, when you over rotate on a split S, leave it there. And if you force yourself to leave it, or you commit to where that stick was, it forces you to not fix it. And then so when you've forced yourself to not fix it, that problem completely disappears. At that point, you either crash the damn thing or you work it out, right? You turned over for a split S, but you over rotated. You either go, I'm stuck, I'm going to leave it, and you just drive it into the ground, or you make some other correction, or it stops this bouncing back and forth problem. It'll probably cause a couple crashes, but more often than not, it'll break that behavior, and then you'll find a way to fly out of it. And it won't look good at first, but we're breaking that bad habit. And that's the most sort of important thing, is to not, it's got to get worse before it gets better, kind of a deal. And so, yeah, there's a couple different ways you can think about that. My favorite way, and the way that usually gets through to my students the quickest, is just using the words leave it. And like what I'll do, we'll be in Velocidrone together. I'll be spectating them. I can see their sticks on the screen. I will have them fly around, and then I will say, at some point, I will say to them, leave it. And when I say that to them, they're not allowed to move the roll, the pitch, or the yaw. All they're allowed to do is fly with the throttle. And that's kind of what comes with that. You've over-rotated on this, and now you can't do anything, and you have to just fly with the throttle. Usually when I call that out, when I call leave it, they don't have the sticks centered. It's worthless for me to tell them to freeze the sticks if they're centered, because then they're not doing anything. I do it when they're rotating a little bit, and then I say leave the stick there, and so they continue to rotate, and now they have to fly with the throttle. And so now they're going to do a big burst of throttle when they're facing upwards, and they have to leave it, so now they got to get off the throttle, and they got to wait and wait and wait, and it's about to hit the ground, but now we've come to the point where we're vertical and we've rotated like this. Now we got a little bit of thrust going downwards. They got to hammer the throttle, and now they just barely hit the skim the ground, and that's like the big aha learning moment of that little exercise. Super common thing. I do that with almost all of my students that I work with, and it works unbelievably well. It causes a bunch of crashes at first, but doesn't matter because we're breaking a really nasty bad behavior. So there you go. Bunch of different ways to fix that issue. Big Whoop says, Big Whoop is also a reference to The Secret of Monkey Island, and to the fact that I'm 6'6". Jesus. I don't think I've ever even seen... That's a movie, right? I don't think I've ever... I know that I've never seen it. I don't even know if it's a movie or not. Dronesen says, just did a Amazon order using your link. Got me some Ciotti magnifiers. Oh, these things rock. Very cool. Thank you, brother. Mudderson says, FYI, when you open a bunch of browser tabs at once, the stream goes right to hell. Yeah, I saw it. CMYK dropping the CiottiFPV.com link. Thank you, dude. YouTube did the thing. Scrolling back up. Thrash FPV says, the amount of money and sanity I've saved with listening to your advice is insane. Well worth the Patreon. Thank you, brother. CMYK says, did you see Ray released an FPV sticker zine? Stoked to see all the sick-ass stickers. I did. I did see that. Ray is who makes the name of them is escaping me for some strange reason. FPV notebook. No. FPV guide. Ray Nolan. He makes the FPV guides. They're very cool. I believe it's fpvguide.com. Very, very cool stuff. CMYK's been helping with some of the graphic design, which is amazing. And yeah, he's doing a sticker magazine. So if you need more FPV stickers, there you go. That's your ticket to stick it. I'm so sorry. That was uncalled for. Cringy as hell. I'll do better next time, I promise. There's this one camera mount called the Duga Duga mount. No, hold on. It's called the which one is it? It's this one here. It's the Funky Bamboo. Funky Bamboo. This mount here, it's got this giant hole in the side. Good lord, does that make it difficult to because it puts support material in there. super, super, super difficult to not... This is the only mount that I've had problems with destroying the mount while I'm removing the support material. It's difficult, but it's okay. Moss1 says, I just switched from the amazing FXT to the CO2, and FXT is still, I think, just as good. The picture quality is by far the best IMO. You got to go to the CO3. The CO3 is really just the jam. I did 2 big old live streams testing all of the, not all, but a lot. I think like 10 different Tiny Whoop cameras. And everybody pretty much agreed that the BetaFPV C03, like, it's not even really close. Like, the CO3 is just better in terms of image quality than, like, everything else. Unquestionably better. And then, like, if you nitpick, you can say, like, oh, the Nano 3 is a little bit better than the Ant or whatever. But, yeah, like, the CO3 is just obviously better. It's just annoying as hell. It's got that stupid little tiny JST plug on there that you have to deal with. And the body of the camera is taller than it is wide, which is just stupid. But yeah, if you want the best possible Tiny Whoop image quality, the CO3 is definitely your go-to. And that's what, you know, that's... When people say, what is the best Tiny Whoop camera, that's what they're asking. They're asking which one looks the best. Personally, I don't think that you should prioritize which one looks the best as your top priority. Does it matter? Yeah. Are there cameras that look so bad that you shouldn't run them? Absolutely, Cadix Ant. I'm looking at you. But there are other things about FPV cameras, namely the weight, but also the durability, that matter just as much, if not more, as how they look, because analog kind of looks terrible anyway, right? And so that is why the Runcam Nano 3 is still my preferred Tiny Whoop FPV camera, because it is the lightest, and it also works. And this is the other big thing that's important, is what canopies are available for it. If there are no good canopies available for the camera, what are you going to do? You're going to break the camera. You're going to break your AIO. You're going to have a terrible mount that drives you up the fucking wall. So, yeah. Best is tough. There is no best. There's just different. I got the Funky Bomba mount separated without destroying it this time. I think I've only ripped like 2 of these. But man, that support material gets all up in those holes in the side, and it's tough. Wow, that was ridiculous. I'm using the snug supports, and that just... I really like the snug supports. I think they're going to be my go-to. I tried the small tree supports. They were pretty good. But the regular snug supports I'm really digging, and there's a lot less waste with the regular supports set on snug. This pile of support material is much smaller. Oh my god! So this is that Funky Bomba mount, and that just popped right off all at once. Do I have that one printing differently? Well, that's weird. They're both printing in the same orientation, but that just came off outrageously easy. That was weird. Metal Urtson says, accurate, LOL. If you ask 10 people how to do something 3D printing related, you'll get 15 answers. Mario Bean says, we have the same printer. What TPU are you using? SaneSmart. I've found some really good settings for small parts. Yeah, I'm using SaneSmart, and I've dialed in my settings from... Madstech Ian, he had a couple of settings from dialing his in when he reviewed it with TPU, with SaneSmart TPU. And then there was a guy on Printables, I think, that had a SaneSmart TPU settings for FPV 3D printing stuff. And I stole some of his settings too. So I've changed maybe probably about 10 different things. No massive changes, but just subtle little changes, and the print quality has been like fantastic. I mean, right out of the box, it was like shockingly good. But after a couple of these settings, it's like, it's just, yeah, it's really, really clean. The supports come off super easy, especially now that I've turned off the brim. And yeah, it's just does an amazing job with very little work. Super impressive stuff. Thrash says, I found a multicolored Doom video game keycard modeled like the original, and you put your work badge in it. Needs to be my next print. That's super cool. G-Tonian says, I changed to the... Hey, I have a 3D printing text channel over on my Discord. Put your cool 3D prints up in there. Let's show each other cool shit. The next thing I'm printing is I've been waiting to change the filament back to violet. I'm printing a little toilet. So the bamboo printers, they spit... I forget what they're called. They spit little poops out the side when they purge the nozzle. And there's a little toilet that I found on one of the websites that you put onto the side, and then it poops into a little toilet. So I'm excited for that. But I'm going through all these different colors of TPU and printing these propodials and these big plates of camera mounts out first in each one of the colors. So I've been trying to do like one color a day. Although I forgot to put a new reel into the dryer today, so I probably won't run a color today, but I'll be back on it tomorrow for sure. Cheetonian says, I changed to the MG Chemicals solder you recommended, and suddenly my balls are shiny. Good call. Yeah, MG Chemicals solder is awesome. Decent solder is important. There are a lot of decent solders out there. Like, it's not just MG Chemicals, but there are some really shitty solders out there. So if you're having problems soldering, and you're not using like MG Chemicals or another like name brand solder, if you're using like any kind of like a no-name solder, change that first. It's a super cheap, easy thing to change. Yeah. These little guys, even though I increased the thickness, it's not helping with the M, the little tiny things in the M. I think it's just too small. It's just way too little. But it's still, you can still kind of... Can you see what that says? I have to put it against my hair. You can tell what that says, right? Yeah, you can see that. When you look closely at it, you're like, blah, blah, blah. But that's fine. Don't look closely at it. This one has no support material? Okay. This one has no support material? Oh, no, there is a little bit. Oh, these are the ones that I'm printing flat on their back. That's right. Mario Bean says, I sent you an email regarding choosing some items off your Etsy since I sent 30 bones for 300 MAH raffle tickets mistakenly. Awesome. I'm a little behind on my email, but I will get caught up, and I remember that. So yeah, we'll get you all sorted, brother. Again, 661 FPV and Great Scott, I need your guys' addresses. You won these batteries, and I can't find you on my Patreon under those names. And so, yeah, reach out to me somewhere. All my contact info is on CiottiFPV.com. Elias says, have you tried the YMZFPV Lightning 2 yet? It's a great 2-inch bird. I have not. I can't afford to like buy all these bind and flies, and most of these companies don't send me anything. From what I understand, that is a 2-inch open prop freestyle rig. I built and flew a couple of them way back when. It's, you know, nowadays it's not really my thing. Like, if I'm gonna fly something that's on a 2-inch propeller, it's gonna be prop guarded, so that like when I crash in the grass, for example, I can take back off out of the grass. This printed terrible. What is happening here? So yeah, that is not. I wouldn't like go out of my way to figure out a way to get my hands on one of those to fly it. But If you dig it, that's all that matters. Everybody has different taste. I'm admittedly a snob because I've been flying forever, and I've built and flown like one of everything. And so there are some things about certain rigs that won't bother a lot of people that'll drive me absolutely insane. If I'm gonna fly, basically, like a rig like that, it's gonna be on a 3-inch prop for me. Like if I'm gonna fly something that's open prop, where like if I crash it in the grass, I'm not gonna be able to turtle mode it back over, right? It's gonna be a 3-inch, so that it has enough power and efficiency to just like absolutely blast. But you know, on your journey through FPV, you want to fly a lot of different things to kind of figure out where your priorities are. If you never crash in the grass, then it doesn't matter, right? If you never crash full stop, that's going to change everything. I crash a lot. And so, yeah, everybody's journey is different, and that's okay. Lewis says, oils on print bed are bad. Don't overly worry about it, though, especially since a bit of ISO gets rid of it. Yep. Midnight Jesus says, what do you think is the most interesting line of tricks to perform in an FPV freestyle video? I don't like tricks. FPV is not skateboarding to me. It is filmmaking. So, yeah, I don't like tricks. I really don't. Like, you know, oh, I'm going to do I don't know, pitch down, look backwards, flip upside down, and then pitch back forward. I'm just like, cool. You know, that makes my head hurt, and nobody that's not into FPV like wants to watch that, right? For me, it's moving a camera around in like 3-dimensional space. There are like I certainly do tricks here and there, because it's hard not to, right? Because like most people do them, but there aren't any tricks that I really like. I like moving the camera in ways that make the things that the camera is looking at look cool, right? And so like trippy spins, for example, that is the opposite of that. That is making things look nauseating that the camera is looking at, right? You're putting your subject upside down on the top in the middle, and then you're spinning it around. Like that, in my opinion, it just, that looks terrible. They're not that difficult to do, and they look terrible. So it's like, I typically don't do them. You can do that movement around the corner of a building in a way that does look cool. It's not a trippy spin. It's just like basically a 90-degree turn, but tail in instead of nose in. And so like that's the kind of thing that I like. Like I like if I'm coming up to the corner of a building, I like the way it looks to look in towards that building with yaw, and then to roll backwards like this, and then to roll out of that. Like I find that to be a really cool, wait, no, it would be, yeah, no, that's it. I find that to be a really cool way of moving a camera on the corner of a building. That camera movement has its roots in the trippy spin, you could kind of argue. But yeah, I don't like the trick side of FPV. You know, also keep in mind that I've been in FPV for almost 9 years now. And so I've seen hundreds, if not thousands of pilots, not pirates, do tricks and tricks and tricks and tricks and tricks. And like in the old days, like FPV was, before we even realized that we could use it for filmmaking, it was super trick heavy. And like, that's kind of all anybody did. And it got a little old, if I'm honest. Like it was a bit much. And it was just, you know, everybody it's where like the whole flippy floppies thing comes from, right? Like we're out in parking lots doing flippy floppies in the sky. Like I never really loved that. I never really fell in love with that. But again, I'm just one person. This, you know, my answer is not the right answer. It's just an answer. When you're new in FPV, it's probably a good idea to dive into a lot of those tricks, because the tricks are kind of an easy way of learning how the three axes can kind of relate to one another. And it's probably really good. Yeah, it's really good practice. But yeah, where I'm sort of at as a pilot, and look, you know, I went to college almost 20 years ago for filmmaking, right? And so I didn't grow up skateboarding, right? And so I'm not the right audience for that sort of thing. And again, that's okay. Yin Yang, are you in the chat by chance? This did not print well. This is the new 04 Batwing, and it is not printing all that well. Let's see if I made... Oh, yeah, that is... Yikes. Let's see if I made another one. We're trying to dial the 04 Batwing in to push the camera back a little bit more. Hold on, I'll be able to tell. Yeah, it is more flat. Interesting. But it needs a little more material up on the top there. That's kind of pinching. And I want to... If Yin Yang's in chat, I want to show him this. Ooh, this one printed good, though. Okay, so this one I printed standing up, and it's just a little ugly. This one I printed flat, it looks like. Yeah, I printed this one standing up. Where's the textured surface on this one? I don't even know how the hell I printed this one. One of them printed fine, though. Yeah, we're trying to get it to pull the 04 camera back a little bit. And so, and we're also, I'm asking them for more up tilt on it. And so, yeah, it's rapid prototyping, baby. Very cool. So fucking fun that we can do this. What a time to be alive. There we go. Cole Powers says, when he showed you how to paint on supports, he should have showed you how to paint on support blockers. Hey, he didn't show me that. Andrew Taylor says, what was your verdict on the Grinderino and the 1804 motors? It's really good. That's a super basher setup. It's actually sitting right over there in like the on deck circle. I want to get out and fly it a little bit more. Yeah, it's great. The X-Nova 1804 M5 nut motors are hysterically durable. If you can find... The problem is the really good 3-inch prop. Well, you could just run a 3.5-inch prop. You know, put a durable prop on them, and it's a hell of a basher. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. Dave S. says, I'm amazed what I can print without supports. Sometimes you're better off with none. Yeah, I tried a bunch of these early days without supports, and they were just getting a little saggy. And then I turned the supports back on, and it just completely fixed it up. That was before I was messing around with different orientations, though. So maybe I'll revisit printing without supports now that I've changed the orientation on how some of these guys sit. Good call. I haven't been thinking about that. I've just like, I just sort of was just like, yeah, support's great. It like I turned supports on, and all of a sudden it started printing better. I was like, oh cool, I'll just print with supports on for everything. I didn't even think of turning that back off. I print the propodials with no supports though, but I mean they're just completely flat, and so that's ultra easy. I'll say this: the propodials printed really nicely at the 2.5 millimeter layer height rather than 2 millimeters. So that was kind of, so I'm gonna, for that print bed, I'm definitely leaving on 2.5. But for these tiny little guys, I have a feeling that I'm gonna go back to a 2 millimeter print, because I can just, yeah, some of these it's just noticeably like thicker. Some of these are just outrageously small. Thrash FPV says, what snug supports change? First of all, it uses a lot less support material. There's a tool, it tells you in the little tooltip. Here, let me see. Snug, style, snug. Snug support towers will save material and reduce object scarring. There you go. So it literally just uses less support material. Okay. Yeah, welcome to the 3D print stream. Only while I'm going through chat and ripping things. I mean, you know, the questions that you guys ask, the comments that you leave with me tagged, that's what we're talking about. When I get caught up, you know, that's when we do the stuff that I've scheduled it. So, Yannick says, do you plan to test the Quad 6.6 canopy for BI and CO3? I do indeed. I'm super excited to have one. I wish I'd bought it earlier. It's the ugliest goddamn canopy that there is, but it pushes the camera forward for no duct in view, and it looks to be nice and strong. So it is a function over form canopy, which is totally fine because we can't see them when we're in the goggles. Garen says, can you post your TPU settings in the Discord? Having serious problems with my TPU prints. I don't think they're going to do you any good unless you have this exact printer. But I'm new to 3D printing, so somebody back me up on that. The settings out of the box on the A1 Mini printed TPU beautifully. The couple little settings that I changed really didn't have much of an improvement. You're probably going to be better off just jumping into my Discord. There's a link over on CiottiFPV.com. I think the 3D printing Discord is open to everyone. Yeah, it is. You don't have to be. You don't have to give me $3 a month to get to the 3D printing Patreon. You're probably going to be best off just jumping into that Discord text channel and just asking some questions. There's some guys in there that have done tons of 3D printing that seem to really know what they're talking about. And maybe take a couple pictures of the problems that you're having, and the guys will probably help you out. That's probably going to be your best bet, rather than just like randomly kind of closing your eyes and pointing at these weird little settings that I have that are very specific for the A1 Mini. You know what I mean? 3D printing feels a lot like FPV in that there's not just like a setting that on every single 3D printer will work, right? In the exact same way that there's not a single PID loop change that'll work with every single FPV rig, right? Everything is very specific to each build. So yeah, I think that's going to be your best bet, but the chat is probably lighting up with people either telling me I'm an idiot or saying that I'm on the money. Render says, still rocking a big old roll of Radio Shack solder from 2007 middle school. Holy shit. Uriel says, nozzle size does a lot for small prints. I think I'm on the second smallest nozzle size. Ben says, hold on, YouTube just did the thing. Ben, make sure you don't put a comma right after CiottiFPV. It didn't light up in orange, but I just happened to see it. 5-inch racer here, have an eye issue. Can I get 90 frames per second from the HDMI out on the HDZero goggles? Wow, I have no idea. That's an interesting question. The VRX only does 60, sadly. Can't wear the goggles for a while, hence asking. I don't know a lot about... well, actually, we can probably answer this question from an HDMI standpoint. What's the max frame rate of HDMI? HDMI 2.1 will do 120 hertz, but I don't know. I didn't even realize that there was an HDMI 2.1. Your best bet is going to be to join the HDZero Discord channel and ask over there. You'll probably get an answer in like 15 seconds. It's a super active community over there. And they even have a specific text channel for the HDZero goggles. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna type the question in there and then you can see the answer. Asking for a somebody in my live stream chat, will the, what was the question again? Will they output? Will the will the OG goggles output 90 FPS via HDMI? Asking for somebody in my live stream chat, will the OG goggles output 90 frames per second via HDMI? There we go. So the question is in there. Join that. It's in the HDZero goggle text channel, and hopefully by the time you've joined, there will be an answer. What do you think of that? Lewis says, I was wondering today, how much does a good tune improve efficiency? It doesn't. Also relating to that, would lower pitch props help with an overpowered build? Yes, absolutely. The quad is going to use a bunch of electricity to get onto set point. A more aggressive tune is going to make it use that electricity earlier. A less aggressive tune is going to spread the time out that it uses that electricity. Where we lose efficiency is with bounce back. And so, like, a really bad tune that, like, for example, doesn't have enough D gain, it can start bouncing back. And so even though you just wanted to do this, you just wanted to use this much electricity, it's going to go this and then that and then that and then that and then that and that. And that's where a lot of the waste comes in. Because the next step is that it keeps bouncing and it oscillates. And that's totally wasted, right? Is an easy way to kind of think about that. A less aggressive tune is going to more slowly get to set point. A more aggressive tune is going to more quickly get to set point. But they're going to land there, and they're not going to be bouncing all over the place. I guess you could maybe argue that a more aggressive tune, since it's going to push earlier and harder, it is going to create a little bit more heat because it's hitting it harder. But I don't think that you would ever see a difference there. But yeah, the bounce back and oscillations are where a tune can lose you a significant amount of runtime, and that has and you can have an aggressive tune that does that, or you can have a sloppy tune that does that. It's about that P to D ratio. It's about having enough D gain. It's think less about P to D ratio and more about, is there enough D gain? If you've got any of that bounce back, you typically don't have enough D gain. Not 100% of the time, but usually that's the issue, is that your D gain slider is a little bit too low. This is why my like one size fits all sort of tuning approach is to always bump the D gain slider up to at least like a 1.2 to 1 or even 1.3 to 1 ratio. And that's also why that works so well. Dave S. says, learning how to make an area solid infill is a good tool also. Use a modifier. I haven't messed around with infill yet. Haven't had to. It's been good to go. Garen Peck says, yep, I got an A1 Mini. Thanks. We'll hit up the Discord. Yeah, if it's not working with the stock settings, I think something else is going on. I don't know shit about 3D printing, but what I can tell you is that with SaneSmart TPU on the dead stock setup, mine was like damn near perfect. The prints that I showed earlier, I think, are the first round of prints that I did. So if it's not working on the stock settings, maybe you need to dry your TPU. Apparently that's the answer that everybody gives first. Maybe your nozzle's worn out. Maybe your bed is screwed up. I don't know. I don't know how to troubleshoot 3D printing, but I don't know if changing the in the same way that like folks that I would say at least 60 or 70% of the FPV related questions that I get of what do I need to change in the tune to fix this problem, 60 or 70% of the time, there's nothing that you can change in the tune to fix the problem because it's a mechanical problem. This feels like that scenario. Make sense? Because this is a brand new machine, and with the stock settings, it's completely fine, right? Don't quote me on any of that, though. Maybe 3D printing is a little bit more tolerant of software settings, I'm going to call them, improving mechanical issues, right? I haven't been into 3D printing quite long enough to know that. Thrash FPV says you should label your nozzle size for the sliced file in the name. If you run a different nozzle than the set sliced one, it will screw up. The nozzle that I have is like the one that I think is the normal regular standard-ish one. I doubt that I'll ever change to a different size nozzle. I'll pretty much always print these tiny little things. So I think I'm probably okay. But if I was going to actually get into 3D printing, I would, yeah, I'm sure that would be a great call, is to start labeling stuff. Last one. SOS Death Valley says, what 3D printer do you have? I have a Bamboo Labs A1 Mini that I won at Rampage last year. That has been astoundingly good right out of the box, and it has allowed me to like actually just 3D print stuff without needing to like get into 3D printing, although I can't not at least get into things a little bit. So I've done a couple little things, but I've really kept it light. Cole Power says, have them post photos of print artifacts to the Discord channel. There you go. Maybe someone can look and see what's wrong. There it is. People offering to help already. All right, I'm caught up on chat. It only took an hour and 24 minutes. So let's dive in. Shout out to... Hold on. Let me get this support material off of my desk. Massive thank you to Newbie Drone for sending over the Hummingbird V4. This guy just came out. I've got a quick little rundown from Carl over there. And so, 0702, 30,000 kV motors. The motors are going to make good power. Adjustable camera angle from 5 to 55 degrees. 400 up to 400 milliwatt VTX. I don't really ever recommend you run a tiny whoop VTX that high. Keep it to like 25 or 100. Increased VTX power. 0702 30,000s. Adjustable camera angle. It says improved OSD. We'll see. I'll be the judge of that. Receiver upgrade. Okay, it's ELRS, which is great. User-friendly tune adjustments. That'll be interesting. Maybe they're using different profiles in the tune, and that's it. So those are the main bullet points. It looks like comes with a set of ASICs on it, and then usually they don't put this many extra props in. I don't know if you'll get this many extra propellers. Usually they just give you one extra set, but mine came with looks like 3 extra sets of ASICs. Little instruction manual here. Little quick start guide. I actually really appreciate this. It drives me insane that so many bind and flies come with nothing whatsoever. This is actually really nice. Just like a couple quick points, a little QR code to get to an online manual, and then like binding instructions. At the put a piece of paper in there that tells you how to bind it. This is actually really, really nice. Little bag of replacement screws and a replacement grommet. This is also really important. Little prop remover. What is that? Oh, they're mounting the camera a little differently. That's interesting. Hold on. Let me look at this. So there's a little TPU thing in here. Ah, look at that. Okay. Oh, of course, right. So this has a BI camera, and the BI camera doesn't have any mounting provisions. This is their new Goober canopy, which is a screw mount for nano cameras. And so they've got this little 3D printed black thing here that wraps around the camera that allows the screws to mount into it. Very cool. Nice little solution to getting... that's actually really nice. This is a print that you could probably use for damn near any camera if you had a canopy that had the screw mounts. That's actually kind of slick. And the little prop puller in here that bends after the first time you use it. Pretty standard stuff in the box here. Let's get this PH 2.0 off and replace it with BT 2.0. Because if you're going to fly Tiny Whoops, you should get onto BT 2.0 as soon as you can. It just makes everything better. And yeah, it's not very difficult to swap over to it. So away we go. I'm going to use my favorite little BetaFPV 180 degree jib jabs here. Flipping on the soldering iron to 700 degrees. And might be able to do this without taking the whole thing apart. But probably not. And it's so quick and easy to take these apart that we're just going to strip it down real fast here. And so, hang on a second. Let's get this going. So first things first, we are going to unplug these motors. Always do this with a little pair of sharp-tipped tweezers if you don't have tiny little fingers. Never just pull these things out by the wires. That is a very quick and easy way to cause yourself issues. All right, so there they are. Here come the canopy screws here. All right. Yeah, don't try to do this while it's put together. All you're going to end up doing is ruining the frame, and then you're going to have to replace the frame as well. The solder pads are like right next to the duct, and if you melt that duct, there's a good chance that it's gonna that the prop is gonna start to hit it, and it's just gonna be a nightmare. Just pop it apart. It's no big deal. We are going to unplug this camera. Same deal with the camera connector. Use a little skinny tipped set of tweezers to pop that out. Get that free. So they are using a ultralight VTX antenna here, and then they've got a 2.4 ELRS antenna up here as well, and they've got a UFL and an IPEX on the board. I would love it if this camera would focus a little bit better, but welcome to Logitech land. A company that makes cameras that don't know how to focus. Cameras with focus algorithms that are from the 1920s, before there even were cameras. Were there cameras in the 20s? I'm going to leave these Azzies on. The Azzies actually fly really nice, and they're very lightweight. My problem with them is that they're super fragile. So like if I had to take those off, I wouldn't put them back on, but I am going to leave them on for now. But if you get this and you end up changing props, I would not suggest that you put Azzies back onto it. Switch over to like an HQ ultralight prop, for example. Those are gonna save you from pulling your hair out. This is the OmniFixo. This is the best little helping hand setup in the world. Don't use helping hands that aren't on OmniFixo. And like, I don't even have an affiliate link to these guys. It's just that much better. It's better in every single way. The way that the jaws work, the fact that it's on magnets, so it actually stays where you put it. It doesn't like recoil from those weird like gorilla arm things. It's just the best. And so we're gonna put 2 on there, and then we'll just drop a 3rd one on here to like kind of triangulate it. Well, no, I'll just hook the 3rd one up to one of these other ones. There we go. And so now It ain't going anywhere. Although, oh, there it is. Cool. So now it's nice and solid. It's a nice and small base plate, so I can actually move the work around to me. Never get your hand, never like just leave it like this and then get your hands all contorted. Move the work to you so that you can access the stuff without getting all weird. So I'm going to tilt this back a little bit and then hook this guy up to triangulate it again. Cool. So now I have access right there. Flux, yo. Flux in a syringe. Flux paste in a syringe. Super important. Nate Adams with a $5 super chat. He says, shout out to Krhom for helping me find the Batwing mount thread on Discord. P.S. Did you know there's a website called sacktricks.com? I didn't, but I love it. Flux paste, you need this. You need to use more flux. Nerd goggles, as I call them. Magnified goggles. Hugely important. It lets you see what the hell you're doing. This work is really small, and not being able to see what you're doing because your eyes are old is a huge problem. And the quality of your work will be horrible. You'll get frustrated, and then you'll do even worse work. We're going to put a little bit of flux on these joints that we want to let go, that we want to put heat into, not let go. I don't know why I said that. A little bit there, and a little bit there. The flux paste stays exactly where you put it, unlike the flux pen. The flux pen, it's going to flow all over the place. The flux paste stays exactly there. You're going to take your soldering iron out of its holder, and you're going to clean it right away. You're not going to clean it when you put it away. When you're done doing the work, you put it in the holder. The solder on the tip, the leftover solder on the tip will actually help the tip of the soldering iron not oxidize. So you pull the soldering iron out, you clean it, you do your work, you put it back. That's it. Cool? Out, clean it, and now we're removing this joint. The ground is by the grommet. Ground by the grommet. GG. The smoke is the flux burning off. That's a good thing. When the smoke stops, you've burned through all the flux. We got one. We got two. I'm leaving the soldering iron on these pads just for another split second to flow the entire pad. I did it wrong. I cleaned it because there was a blob of solder on there. I'm going to take it right back out of the pad, right back out of the holder. I also accidentally got some solder on the USB port, which is no problem. The outside of the USB port is ground, but it just looks silly. The reason why I cleaned it before I put it away is because I was going to take the soldering iron and go back to try to pick up some of that extra solder, but then I changed my mind. This is solder wick or solder braid. This is the best and safest way to remove extra solder. You put it where you want it. You bring the heat in, and it will wick the solder up into the braid. I'll show you what I mean in a second. And so now the solder wick is all shiny there because it wicks the solder up. It works really, really well. If you have solder wick that's not working well, tin the tip of your soldering iron before you hit the solder wick. When solder wick doesn't work, what's happening is you're not transferring heat to the work. You're putting the tip of the soldering iron on the wick, and it's just getting the wick hot. It's not transferring the heat into the spot where you actually want to pull the solder out of. And so a little bit of liquid solder will help that. So put the wick where you want it, tin the tip of the soldering iron just a little bit, hit that solder, and the wick will pull the solder off the tip, and then that liquid solder will connect to the work. It'll transfer the heat, and it'll pull even more solder up and out. On BetaFPV, white or round is ground. Cool? Round rhymes with ground. And so, and white is ground. White is the opposite of black. Blue is the same as red for voltage. On this particular board, the ground is by the grommet. One of the little tricks is to look at which pad, positive versus negative, is farther rearward. Whichever one is more rearward, cut that wire a little bit shorter. That'll let these wires sit flatter on your battery lead. And so in this case, round is ground, white is ground, white is a little bit shorter, and my ground pad is towards the back. Usually that's the case. Usually the ground pad is towards the back. That's a super subtle little tip, but it will make your build just a little bit cleaner. I'm actually going to rotate this in kind of a weird direction, but it doesn't matter because I have a clear. It doesn't matter how you do this work if you have a clear path for your soldering iron to come in and hit the pad, and you have a clear way of holding the work in your offhand. That's all that matters. So I actually have this thing like facing backwards, but it's totally fine because I have access to everything that I need to have access to. I could probably cut this a little bit shorter, but I'm not gonna, because I think it's probably about the same length as it's even shorter than the PH 2.0, so it's fine. All right, here we go. So took the soldering iron out of the stand. I'm immediately cleaning it. Actually, we're gonna add a little bit more flux, just a touch. And then you can also add flux to the wires. The more flux, the easier all of the work that you do is. So when in doubt, add flux to both the wires and the pads, and it's just going to make your life so much easier. And so now I'm going to do this by hand. I'm just going to kind of like separate these two wires with my finger, and then what I am going to make sure that I do is put the bottom of this hand down on the table, and then when you're holding the soldering iron, you want to do the same thing. You want points of contact up. You don't want to be muscling your arm up in the air. When you're muscling your arm, holding it with your shoulder, it's going to shake. If you put your hand down like this, you get what's called bone support in the shooting world, and it really helps you stay a lot steadier. And so do it on both hands. Get your hands down on your desk, and you'll be able to hold things a lot more steady. Clean the tip of the soldering iron. Before you bring the heat in, get the wire exactly where you want it. And so for me, that's going to be right over here. I just touched the fluxed wire, which is kind of silly. Don't just get all antsy and bring the tip of the soldering iron in. Get the wire where you want it first. The tip of the soldering iron is here to provide heat, not to move the wire around. You're going to have to remove the tip of the soldering iron. And so if you're not holding the wire where it needs to be, at that point you're screwed. Bring it on in here. As soon as it hits the flux, there's going to be a big old puff of smoke. The only problem with doing this by hand is you can kind of burn your hand a little bit. I don't have quite enough solder on there, so I'm going to just pick up a little bit on the tip of the iron here. And then I'm going to come back in and do what's called reworking this. There we go. Now we're talking. All right. There's the power. Here comes the ground. When it starts to burn on your fingers, just suck it up. Because if you move, you're going to screw up the solder joint and you're going to have to redo it. And you don't want that. Ground is always going to be a little bit more difficult. The ground pad is connected to a layer, a ground layer in the PCB. And so you always want to be a little bit more patient on the ground pad. And that's okay. But my fingers your fat fingers will have a hard time when there's a pad right next door, so make sure you have tweezers. And I'm going to actually just come in and fix this because I didn't get it quite where I wanted it because my finger was sort of in the way. Tweezers, pick up a little bit of solder. This is called tinning the tip of the soldering iron. You're just picking up a little bit of fresh solder. it's going to smoke because there's flux in the core of the solder. And now that's looking much better. Just be patient on the ground pad, because it's transferring the heat into the main part of the AIO. And that's it. That's all you got to do to switch over to BT 2.0. If you follow those basics, it will not be difficult. If you skip those basics, it will be difficult. That's just the way soldering is. If you flux everything, if you clean the tip of the soldering iron, it is not very difficult. The hardest part about soldering when you're new is typically caused by skipping those things and just trying to like rush the work. I mean, like the hardest thing is you just haven't had the experience to know what's what. If you follow those basics, it will give you such a leg up that it won't be nearly as difficult. And now we've got two very decent solder joints. These could be a little bit better, but this is plenty clean, and it's more about them being strong than like looking absolutely perfect. And I mean, this camera won't focus anyway, so you won't even be able to see it. But yeah, if it's shiny and if it's smooth like that, it's going to be nice and strong. What you don't want is it to look like the fucking aggro crag from Nickelodeon Guts. You don't want it to have little holes in it. You don't want it to look like hell. You just want a nice smooth ball of solder. You don't want like a huge ball of solder, but you do want it to be smooth. All right, so we've got a NBD Cockroach 65 V3 frame here. In my opinion, the best of the tiny whoop frames that are available, which is great. We've got these NBD 0702 30,000 kV motors, which make a lot of power. Now that we're on BT 2.0, we will actually be able to get that power out of the battery without a ton of resistance into these motors. We're going to weigh this thing once I have it put back together. It's probably going to be a little bit heavier than most of the builds we do, mainly because of the canopy. This Goober canopy is a little bit heavy. It's very cool that it's got the adjustable up tilt and the screws on the sides. It makes it compatible with a lot of different cameras. But yeah, it's a little bit of a heavy canopy. It's a little bit of a chungus. If I rotated this frame around, we've got these hooks. We could put a batwing mount on there and take the BI out of this canopy and mount it up front for no ducts in view, but we're not going to upgrade that much all at once. We'll save that for the future maybe. So let's get this camera plugged back in with this tiny little JST 0.8 maddening plug. Love that it's small, but the main thing that I hate about this plug is that you have to use these wires that are PVC coated rather than silicone coated, and that just stinks. Big ass hole in the back of the canopy here for the antennas to go through, so let's do that before we bolt it down. So we'll do, and there's 6 more little holes. You could easily run these antennas through those smaller holes as well if you wanted to put them more vertical. I'll just use this big hole in the back of the canopy. So there we go with those 2. And that's just good to kind of keep them out of the propellers. And now we've got our canopy screws. Let's get this lined up. Okay. I know for those of you that are new, soldering seems like a complete nightmare. I promise you, though, you can figure it out. And I mean, here's sort of the more important thing. You have to figure it out. You are not going to be able to exist in FPV without learning how to solder. So you might as well do it now. There's just not a world, unless you're independently wealthy, that you're going to be able to stay in FPV not knowing how to solder. It is just a part of the deal. Every single one of us has had to learn. I had no experience whatsoever, and I figured it out. Lots of people figure it out. It's not that bad, especially if you follow the things that I kind of preach on here. Spend a little bit of money on gear, and just practice a little bit. There's practice soldering boards that you can get, which are super helpful before you start soldering onto $50, $60, $70, $80 electronics. But yeah, it's not that bad. Look, lots of people dumber than you have figured it out. Just like driving. Lots of people dumber than you have figured out how to do it, so you'll be all right. This is the conversation I've had with both kids in terms of driving, because they were I've now taught Sage how to drive. I will be teaching Florence how to drive over the next couple of years, and yeah, both of them were like super freaked out by it, and I'm like, look, man, look at all these people on the road. You are so much more talented and quick-witted and intelligent and yada 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 than so many of these people. You'll be fine. Same kind of deal. All right, plugging in these obnoxious little JST 1.25s. I understand that they use these little tiny plugs to free up more room on the AIO, but I really wish that I wouldn't. This is one of the main things that I wish that BetaFPV would change, is to go back to the regular plugs that everybody else uses. But they're not the only ones that do it. Emacs does it as well. And Emacs and NBD, these are both companies that have dedicated themselves to trying to get new pilots up in the air. And there's also the element of, like, if a new person has too many options, it can be a little bit of a nightmare. And so by going with these specific plugs, it gets people to come back to Emacs or to NBD to get their replacement motors. And you could argue that that's kind of a good thing for somebody that's absolutely brand new. You could also argue that that's not a good thing if that person stays in the hobby for a while. But, it's okay to have differing points of view as long as it's not, disparaging in entire groups of people and ruining people's lives for absolutely no reason. You know what I'm saying? And in this case, it's not. So yeah, there we go. We have converted this to BT 2.0 just like that. And then what I like to do is just kind of take these battery wires and just get them to sit flat. We made that the ground wire a little bit shorter, but you can see it's actually still a little bit too long. We could have gone even shorter on that ground wire. But get them to sit flat in here. Just take a second and just get them on there, because the battery has to take up this same space, right? The battery has to go in through there. Let's weigh it real quick. If anything, I probably made this a little bit lighter because the battery leads are a little bit shorter than the PH 2.0 that it came with. We are coming in at, 19.5 grams. I thought it was going to be in the 18s. It's actually up in the 19s. 19.5 grams. That's a little heavy, but this is not like a full tilt racing rig. Can you turn off, please? Thank you. And it's basically the canopy. If you want to lose weight from this rig, just swap this canopy out. If you swap this canopy over to something 3D printed like this, it would easily get down into the 18s. I don't think it would get into the 17s, but it might. You might be able to get this into the 17-point-something gram range. On a future live stream, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll pull this canopy out and we'll swap it. But I don't necessarily... Yeah, it's 8:51. We don't really have time for that tonight. All right. Let's get this thing plugged into Betaflight. See what the see what it looks like in there. We will probably need to also hook it up to the ELRS web flasher to get my binding phrase in there. Hopefully that won't be a nightmare. Let's actually do that right now. So if you Google ELRS web config, the first result will be the web Express LRS web flasher. That's what you want. And then since this is a quad, it's the receiver. It's not the transmitter. We're not transmitting to it. We're receiving. So we're going to click receiver. 3.5.3, that's fine. Hardware vendor. NBD Drone. There we go. 2.4 gigahertz. Hardware target. It's the only option. Next, binding phrase. That's my binding phrase. Flashing method is going to be Betaflight pass-through. Advanced settings were good. Next. And now Hummingbird V4 paired. Click on that. Connect. Enter flashing mode. No joy. Okay. Let's try this first. Let's connect to Betaflight and go into the receiver tab, and we will see if we can add the binding phrase in there. Come on now. Let's unplug it, plug it back in. I should have done this first, for the record. But a lot of time... Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's quit out of Betaflight, relaunch it. Come on now. Connect. There we go. Receiver tab. Oh, look at that. Okay, awesome. Usually you can't do that. Save and reboot. Great. So we're bound. So awesome. No need to use the ELRS web flasher. I am really quickly going to take a look at ESC configurator here. I want to see what version of BlueJay this is on. You're going to need to plug a battery in for this. So I've just plugged a battery in, and you're going to click. You can't be connected to Betaflight, so make sure you're at the main menu of Betaflight here. You're going to click connect. This is just esc-configurator.com. So I clicked connect up there, and then the bottom right here, read settings. And so let's see what this is on. This is on BlueJay 0.19 48K. Awesome. You do not need to change anything in ESC configurator. I'm going to, but you absolutely do not need to. I'm going to update this. I'm going to hit flash all ESCs, and I'm going to bring this from 0.19 to 21.0. PWM frequency 48. You do not want 96. 24 is okay, but 48 is the way to go. BlueJay OH10, never change this letter dash number. And then I'm going to hit flash. I'm just doing... BlueJay 0.19 was fine. I'm doing this because I'm in here already, and it just takes a second, and it's super, super, super easy. Let me try to get caught up on the chat while this is going. Yannick says, how are the wires of the NBD 30,000s? They're good. They're normal silicone wires. The race spec 3.1 has one motor acting weird. Might need to replace it. Yeah, the race spec Hummingbird had, like, it used the winding material as the motor wires to save as like an ultra extreme weight savings measure. This is not like that. You'll probably never see another rig that's like that. That was super rare. T-Bird's in the house. What's up, homie? Yannick also says TPU is adapter for BI on 14mm mount. I don't know what that means. Nate Adams says, building an 04 light 65mm batwing mount. How will Weebleed Screamers handle that weight? Totally fine. I assume Gemfan biblades for props. I've actually really fallen in love with the HQ ultralight props. Startup power, we're going to leave it alone. I forgot to look at it before I updated. This is one of the reasons why I say not to update. I'm going to move the motor timing. Wow, it was on high. That's weird. I'm going to go down to medium. That's the medium is what Rosser has said is the best bet there. Beep strength, I'm going to move that up to 120. This just makes the little ESC beeper a little bit louder. Beacon delay 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, it'll start beeping at you if you haven't done anything. You don't want to leave them plugged in like that for very long. And then we're going to leave everything else alone. Rate settings to rate those couple little changes, and that's that. Absolutely no need to do that stuff. This is me being ultra pedantic. Trying to connect to Betaflight. Wow, Betaflight's being cranky. Come on. You can do it. You can do it, computer. Oh, boy. Unplugging the quad. Plugging it back in. Okay. And there we go. All right, so we're going to go nose down, nose up, roll left, roll right, yaw left, yaw right. The screen matches what I'm doing. All is well. Might as well accelerate the calibrometer real quick. Put it flat on the desk. Hold it steady. Click the button. Give it a second. We're good. Ports tab, we do not need to touch because it's a bind and fly. Hey, this comes on Betaflight 4.5.1. Don't update it. When you buy a bind and fly, don't update Betaflight. Bind it and fly it. There is no need to update Betaflight. Ever since like Betaflight 4.2 from 2 years ago, the differences in flight characteristics are minimal, if anything. Stop updating bind and flies. The manufacturer does a bunch of specific stuff to that bind and fly. A lot of the times when you update it, you wipe all that stuff out, which will either make it not work at all or make it fly worse. Stop it. You paid for a bind and fly. Don't screw with it. Fly the damn thing. If at some point a new version of Betaflight comes out that has some feature that you actually care about, maybe then update it. But for the love of God, stop updating things. If you've got 4.2 or newer, just fly. You're not going to notice a difference. Gyro and PID loop updates are 3.2K. That means this is a BMI 270 gyro. Accelerometer is turned on. Craft name changed to your name. D-Shot beacon is set to beacon tone 2. That's kind of funny, but then these are turned off. Turn these on. This will turn your ESC beeper on. Maximum arming angle is at 180. That turns it off. That's totally fine. It's a tiny whoop. It's not going to hurt anybody. That's my just keep trying alarm. I'm going to turn air mode off because I've now got air mode on a switch. So I'm going to turn permanent air mode off. You should probably just leave it on. You'll be fine. LED strip and OSD are turned on. That's great. Save and reboot. Everything else looks fine. Reconnect. We're done in the configuration tab. Power and battery. Maximum cell voltage is 4.4. That's great. Warning and minimum are 4.3, 3.3, 3.4. That's fine. Capacity, usually you're running a 300 mAh battery. You don't really need to do that. Failsafe. I like to change this on little tiny harmless quads to 3 instead of 1.5. It'll give you 3 full seconds. If it loses connection, it'll do the same thing that it was doing for 3 full seconds, and hopefully it'll regain the ELRS link. Again, super pedantic little thing. Probably don't do it for safety. Definitely don't do that on bigger things that could hurt somebody. But tiny whoops, it's whatever. Presets. I have a little Express LRS 250 hertz. I like to use this Express LRS 250 hertz preset. That's what I run my modules at. Again, this is set up out of the box. Probably you don't need to really do this, but this is one of the things that I do. HD Freestyle. I choose this to add a little bit of stick smoothing in. Pick, save and reboot. Again, it's a bind and fly. Bind it, fly it. But this is my full setup. This is how I set stuff up. PID tuning tab. It comes with a little bit of a tune here. Very cool. So it's on profile 1. They mentioned in the thing like easy tuning. Profile 2 is now. Okay, so by easy tuning, I guess what they meant is that they have a tune on it, which is great. Some rigs come not tuned at all. This has a little bit of a tune on it. That's cool. Some changes that I make. I move the dynamic damping gain in advance to 30. Super subtle. Probably don't do it. Wow, the dynamic idle is up at 180. That's really high. But whatever. Should be fine. Wow, the tune is turned down quite a bit. They also have the D gain a little bit lower than the P&I gain. I usually don't like that, but I'm going to leave it, and I'll fly at least one battery on it as it is. They've got the feed forward turned up. That's kind of interesting. So they've moved the PIDs down a little bit, but then they've turned the feed forward up to offset. When you move these PIDs down, when you move the PI and D gains down, it can feel a little bit sloppy, but then by moving the feed forward up, it sharpens it up. So that's kind of interesting. I'm going to try to reverse this, but I want to fly it as it is on the first battery. Is it burning? There's a strange burning smell. Oh, no, I bet you Maggie lit a fire in the backyard. Dynamic damping is turned down to 0.7. I'm going to try to turn that up. I love this. I love that they've got the pitch damping turned up a little bit. It's not turned up that much, but better to turn it up than to turn it down, that's for sure. There's more weight on the pitch axis because the battery runs fore and aft. Everything else looks pretty normal. This is where you're going to put your rates in. They've got an interesting rates. They've actually got a pretty decent... I really like these rates that they have set up. These rates that they have in here are actually going to be really good for flying inside. So I'm... Oh my god, they also have a whole... Oh my god, they have tons of throttle expo turned on. And they have a wow, okay, they did a bunch of stuff in here. Okay. So yeah, the rates that they ship this with are actually really good for indoor tiny whooping. I dig it. They're not my rates, so they would make me very uncomfortable. But yeah, kudos to NBD for this rate profile that they've got on here. Much better than the stock Betaflight rates for flying inside the house. Also, big thumbs up on the throttle expo. This is a lot, but you know it's a bind and fly, so that they can dial this in. We're gonna see how good this much throttle expo. You're gonna have to have this throttle midpoint absolutely dialed. I am gonna turn this throttle limiting off, but I dig that they've got a little bit of a throttle limit on here. It gives you an extra 2% of power that you can access once you've learned Betaflight. They have the motor output limit set at 100%. Filter settings for the BMI 270. Cool. 1 gyro RPM filter harmonic. Very cool. I like that. 1 dynamic filter notch. Fairly standard setup here. They've got a lot of D-term filtering in here. I'm going to try to remove some of this, but I'm going to leave it alone for now. Leave it as it is, making minimal changes. Stick low threshold, I can drop down to 1,000. Stick high up to 2,000 because I know that's just what my transmitter is going to be at. RC deadband and yaw deadband, crank those up a little bit to 4. Very subtle changes here. Save it. Modes. We all have our specific modes, so we're going to get that set up. Aux 2 all the way up. All the way up. There we go. Come on, computer. You can do this. Beeper, aux 3, switch position all the way down. Air mode is aux 6 on my transmitter. I believe with... Where the hell is my transmitter? Oh, it's in my bag. Because I left the house and flew the other day. Alright. So we should see this thing bind any second now. I'm pretty sure it's aux 6, and I think it's the switch down position. Flip over after crash, aux 3 in the middle. You should not just use my settings here. You should use your own. Everybody has their own kind of modes set up. Hey, we got launch control again. Very cool. We're going to go... Oh, farts. We're going to go aux 2 in the middle, just for funsies. And then I want to go back up here. Auto. Maybe it's not aux 6. Oh, it's not. It is actually not binding. Let's figure that out real quick. Receivers tab. Oh, well, the battery is at 6.7 volts in this transmitter. Hold on. Let me swap the transmitter battery out real quick. Hopefully I have another one that's charged. Ah, farts. Oh, yeah, I do. All right, so... Oh, it has... Oh, when I did that preset, it changed the receiver over to Crossfire. Again, why not to screw around? When you buy a bind and fly, bind it and fly it. When I did that preset, it moved the receiver protocol over to CRSF, which is not correct. And so now it's all angry at me. So let's... I don't even remember what it was before. Here comes the dog. He heard the beeping. What the hell was it before? What's the one that gives me... Is it SPI? No. That's serial. It should be serial UART, right? Oh shit! What was it before? Give me. Oh, I also need to change the channel map to TAER. What the hell is? What's the one that gives me the thing? I thought it was serial. Isn't it serial UART? Do I have to remind my SPI? It was SPI. Okay. SPI built in. And then it should be SPR Express Relay. Why is it not? Do I need to save and reboot? I bet you I need to save and reboot. Connect. Come on. Ah, there we go. Cool. Now we're good. And we should be bound. Oh, nope. I gotta get out of the warnings on the transmitter. Cool. We should be bound. Yeah, SPI Express ELRS, and then it'll give you the binding phrase field. Bind up, you bastard. Come on. Come on, do it. Do it. There it is. Is it aux 6? It is aux 6. Cool. So I have my momentary switch set to air mode. And so aux 6, when I hit this up, I want air mode to turn off. And so that's, looks like YouTube is about to shit its pants. So that's what's going to turn air mode off. And then now here in the regular position, air mode's going to be on. So that's great. Modes are all set. Adjustments. I have a cool little clean OSD setup that I use. Yeah, YouTube is going to shit the bed, and it is hammering on the computer right now. So go ahead and die, please, YouTube, so that the computer will come back to me and start working normally again. Yeah, this is a little clean OSD on a switch setup that I've got that I use. I've talked about that on live streams before. I don't have time to kind of dive into it here. Looks like it's set up for props out. That's okay. I don't love that, but it is what it is. Video transmitter, low power disarm on until first arm. Might as well change it to race 8. Power is set to 25. That's great. Save it. Come on, YouTube. You're fucking killing my computer. Just die. Addressable LEDs are turned on, which is very fun. Oh my god. Come on, dude. I don't like them Larson scanning though, so I'm going to turn the Larson scanner off on all 4 of these. I love that they do these hardwired, built-in, rather, addressable LEDs. Dude, come on. Jesus Christ. There we go. All right, so now the LEDs are all solid on. Kind of want to change the color of them too while I'm at it. Oh my god. Can't fly it quite yet, Scott. Not done setting it up. Save. Sensors. It does not have black box, so no need to go in there. All right, so I have a couple little CLI dumps on a little notepad that's kind of below my face here that I do on everything. So there's one that's turning on crash recovery. Here is my OSD. Drop that in eventually. There we go. And then hit save. So now all of my OSD is in here. And that might be everything. Oh my god. YouTube. Making every single streamer want to cut their own head off with a rusty axe. Day by day by day. There we go. Looks like everything pretty much saved. Eventually the OSD will come up. Yeah, see, this is what YouTube does. This is what YouTube does at least a couple times per live stream. It's absolutely insane. Hey, there it goes. Thank you for being terrible and finally bombing YouTube. My God, man. All right. Let me get this popped back out here. We'll do the thing. And there we go. All right, now everything is great. I need to turn off the full battery voltage. Looks like that's it. All right, that's all good to go. NTSC, Imperial, save. All set. Cool. Should be good to go. Let's see. Look at this thing all lit up. Oh, when YouTube bombed, it took the Canon software with it. I can't decide what's worse, the Canon software or YouTube. I'm going to say the Canon software because back before Canon effed up the software, it was actually completely fine. I use blue. I wanted purple, not blue. Give me purple. What about red? Give me red. Is there no red? There's red. I want. Give me purple, not blue. If the purple's blue, what is the blue? Blue's not purple enough. The purple's not blue enough. The blue's not purple enough. The purple's not blue enough. What about yellow? Yellow look like. Oh, it's got to be yellow. Hold on. This is important. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Can you please work webcam utility? Oh, my God, dude. Oh, there it goes. Look at that. All yellow. Wait, no. Save. Come on. There it goes. Disconnect. All right. 300 mAh batteries first. BT 2.0. Flat spot away. See if the VRX is still working. It is indeed. All right, here we go. Hummingbird V4. Let me grab a pair of goggles here. Wow, the I think NBD might have fixed their OSD because that looks really good. That is the best looking OSD I've ever seen. That is the best looking image I think I've ever seen from a NBD rig. Oh. Oh. All All right, so the motors won't spin. And this is why you don't update. This is why you don't change shit. So when I moved this to the newer version of BlueJay, they have changed the values behind the scenes of the startup power, and it acts totally different now. So again, it comes shipped with 48K. Don't update BlueJay. Leave it on 0.19, and you'll be totally fine. OH10. Come on, man. Just connect. Let me actually see some. OH10. ESC firmware. Oh, I do have OH10 here. I'm actually going to flash this to BlueJay 0.16. BlueJay 0.16 is my favorite. And I have OH10 here. This is basically going to take this back to the way that it shipped. OH10 48K, open, done. This will fix the problem. The 0.21 version of BlueJay, you really shouldn't just max out the startup powers like we used to be able to. Now, and that means that you have to like move it up a little bit, see if the motors spin, move it up a little bit more, see if it's just super annoying. Why is this taking so long? Go! Yeah, and that's just silly. Let me get caught up on chat. Scott Stevens says, I made an adapter to plug into the PH2 with the other end able to plug in the BT 2.0. Great for first test of board to ensure warranty validity. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Uriel says, miniature artists have kind of bridges for steady hand position. That's pretty cool. That does not surprise me. Render says, that scale reminds me of college. Dead Stiff says, is it an SPI receiver? It is indeed. Kevin Sumner says, did you hear Castle Crash 4 tickets are on sale? Yeah, get your asses over. castlecrash.org. Come see me at Castle Crash 4. Holy shit, this is taking forever. Can you go? What's the deal? What are you doing? Go. Is it too hot? Craig says, I was away. Did you see my PayPal gift? I did indeed, brother. Thank you so much. Super kind of you, my friend. Andrew Taylor, welcome to the Gangly Gang. Thank you for joining the Patreon, my friend. Very, very cool of you. It's people like you that allow me to do this full time and do as good of a job of it as I hopefully do. Speaking of, I think I missed a couple of... I know that I did. Balaz H, thank you for joining the Patreon. Christian Earnshaw, thank you as well. Welcome to the Gangly Gang, fellas. Kevin Ertl and Joe, thanks for joining the Patreon. This is going a couple weeks back, actually. Apologies for the delay. DCDK and Keenan, welcome to the gangliest of gangs. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the support. Dick Hare, welcome to the Gangly Gang, and thanks for having the most insane name on my Patreon. Matthew Wegner and Paul Foisey as well. Welcome to the gang. Thank you for the support. John L. and Gregory T. and Samuel Martins. Wow, I missed a whole bunch. Sorry, guys. Thanks to all of you beautiful bastards. Oh, this is hung up. So this is bad. This is like, yeah. This is not good. Well, There's nothing much we can do. We have to do this. Oh boy. All right, we're gonna pull power. We're gonna unplug from USB. So that is like one of the ways that you can brick an ESC is that during the flashing, it shats the bed. Hopefully that's not the case here. All right, so flash failed. We're gonna flash all ESCs, flash local firmware. Try this again. OH10, 48K. Open. And hopefully this brings it back to life. Come on, buddy. Port already in use. No, that's not true. Oh, boy. Come on, little buddy. Again, don't screw around with them. Just fly them. Blue Jay, OH10. I'm going to put it back onto 0.19. 48K. Flash. Oh, balls. Do as I say, not as I do. All right. Let's restart everything. Okay. Power up the quad again. Connect. Read settings. Okay. Flash all ESCs. Blue Jay. OH10. Always leave that alone. 0.19. 48. Flash. Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. So this will now be as if I never screwed with ESCconfigurator.com, which you should not. Although I'm going to have to reset all this stuff. Maybe. We'll see. It might read it off this second channel. Let's see if it fills some of this stuff in. Nope. Yeah, I'm going to have to turn all this stuff back on. In the chat, what else is happening? Yannick says, what's a launch control mode? Launch control allows you to nose the rig up like you see the racers do. You turn launch control on, you arm it, and then you can pitch forward, and it'll just, and it'll stay. I'll do it for you in a minute. All right, so, oh boy, this is acting weird. We're going to go to medium timing. Ah, there we go. I'm just going to max these both out. And I'm going to make the normal changes that I make here. 2 minutes. 1S. That's it. Okay. Right settings. These are all normal. Awesome. What I should have done in the first place, but yeah. Here we go. This battery has now had a bunch of juice taken out of it, so definitely don't pay attention to the runtime here. But let's... hold on. Let me get these. I wish I'd shorten this battery cable up a little bit. These wires are too long. And they're getting in the way of the props, so let me just fix this real quick, like... All right, push this through here. Push this guy through here. There we go. Better! Get out of the way. There it is. Okay. Wow, I'm really happy that it looks like they've figured out how to make their OSD layer more clear. Because usually... newbie drone rigs with their custom OSD they look a little muddy, and this looks pretty good. Helps when you turn your transmitter on, eh? All right, let's give ELRS a second to link up. And then hopefully we will fly. Come on. Bind, you bastard. There it is. You just, you got to get that first crash out of the way. Did it just say shame it? I think it said shame it. I don't think it said send it. There's Teddy. He's saying hello. Good power from the 0702 30,000 newbie drone motors. Feels fine. Definitely feel the weight. It's 19.6 grams. So this is running the KAAK specific hex, which is why the warnings are a little different. Right, so here's one of the warnings. Damn son instead of low battery. Again, this battery had a chunk of its juice taken out by me farting around on the bench. Feels really good. It doesn't feel like it's 19 grams. It feels maybe like 18 point something grams. That's basically just these motors and props making a bunch of power. Oh, it says send it. Okay. I swear to God it said shame it. Hold on. Was it when I turned on turtle mode? I think when I turned turtle mode it says shame it. If so, I love it. All right, so turtle mode. Shame, bro. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love that. That is genius. Oh, Teddy, relax. Teddy, don't eat it. It's brand new. So we're at 1 minute and 42, and we're at like 3.4. Let's get a fresh 300 mAh battery on here, and we'll get an actual runtime. I'm gonna rail this around the house. Flies really decent. Yeah, the good thing these motors make mega power because 19 point something grams is pretty heavy. The 260 mAh batteries will help with that for sure. But yeah, this flies really good. The Hummingbirds always fly good. And yeah, they just keep improving stuff. I'm really impressed with the video quality for a newbie drone board. That's a really big deal. When I turn the OSD off and on, there's like almost no change, which is great. Let's go upstairs and throw it around the living room. So now we're on a fully charged battery, although it has already sagged down to 3.8. Oh boy. That's pretty standard stuff. Teddy! There he is. The LEDs are putting off a ton of light. You see his eyes all lit up, demonic style. Oh boy. Oh, I can't believe it went through the things in the railing like that. That was super lucky. What the hell is Maggie doing? What are you doing? You gonna get hurt! No, she's not. She's more athletic than I am. By quite a bit. Teddy keeping an eye on things. Protecting the house from the weird yellow flying thing. Look at those spindly... Oh, he hit me! He hit me! Spindly little legs on that dog. Full room power loop. This thing flies great, man. My God. Uh-oh. Oh, it even gets out of shag lava carpeting. Bind and fly tiny whoops used to be a joke. Like, it used to be an absolute necessity that you upgraded them. That is not the case anymore. This is, like, awesome. I think this is only, like, $90, too. Don't quote me on that, but this is... You know, the Hummingbirds are always the budget option. I hit the fan. This is... I wanted to put... Oh, boy. I wanted to do this 300 mAh battery upstairs a bunch for a whole bunch of big full throttle throws. At the weight that this thing is at, The runtime is probably going to be in like the 2-minute range, flying it hard like that. Wow, I just got rejected. And so we're at 1 minute and 50, and we just got a low battery warning, which is, I guess, low battery is damn son. And yeah, now we're sagging the battery down to 3.4, so it's time to come in. So yeah, right at 2 minutes. So the all-up weight, switching, the best thing, the two best upgrades that you're going to do for this, one of them we already did, which is the BT 2.0, and then it's going to be getting a canopy on here that's a lot lighter weight. I'm pretty sure there's a Brain canopy for the NubiDrone BI camera. That's going to be awesome. That's going to drop the weight at least by a full gram. It's probably going to get you like another at least 20 seconds, maybe 30 extra seconds of runtime. This is a pretty heavy canopy, but it flies great. I'm actually really happy with the way it flies. I'm already starting to lose the camera angle. There's a bunch more up tilt on it. When you have these camera mounts that use screws, you got to really crank those screws down in order to hold the up tilt position where it is. Let's run a 260 battery here in the basement and see how it is. I'm actually kind of tempted. I mean, I have one of these camera mounts right here. Screw it. I'm going to throw another camera mount on it. It's 4 screws. It's 6 screws. Yeah, let's do all the upgrades. We won't split this up into 2 live streams. I didn't just Stevie Wonder that battery, did I? I don't think I Stevie Wondered that battery. Good. Here we go. 260 mAh battery. Some of these 260s are pretty old, so fair warning. Oh, the throttle expo settings. You know, I didn't even notice it. All right, so on the right side of the screen there, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18. That's my throttle value. They've got well, maybe it's right with the 300 mAh batteries, but they've got the throttle expo settings. The throttle expo setting is not correct right now. And so I'm going to go into rate, up to go to the bottom. The throttle expo is at 60. I'm going to turn it way down to 40. But more importantly, I'm going to change the midpoint. They had the throttle mid all the way up at 45. That's super high. That's going to actually push the hover point down. I'm going to move the throttle mid to 30. I have an entire live stream about Throttle Expo. If you want to use Throttle Expo, you need to watch that live stream. So now when I'm cruising around 29, 30, 31, 33, and now the throttle feels a lot better. Yikes. It wasn't that bad, though. I didn't really notice it. But boy, does it feel better now. 31, 32. I'm actually going to move that throttle midpoint, especially now that I crashed. Go back into profile, go to rate. I'm just going to move that up a little bit. Throttle mid, I'm going to move it up to 33. And that's going to be about right. Ah! Oh. Drop it in. Yeah, there we go. Teddy's around here somewhere. I don't want to hit him. Let's try the railgun. Oh, railgun engage. That was a pretty decent one. Until it smacked into the drum set. Stop it! Let me out! There we go. Let's try another railgun. Oh, I got stuck. That was a situation where if I'd remembered, I could have just pulled my momentary switch and turned off air mode. And it would have... oh, boy, I am flying like crap tonight. And it would have come off of that thing. Crashing is a part of tiny whooping. Crash a lot. They're super durable. And when you're crashing, you're trying to do things that are really difficult, and that's how you learn. And so, crash a lot. It feels better with this lighter battery, that's for sure. But the runtime is probably going to be down a little bit. Nah, I've still got 2 minutes. Look at that. Let's swap the camera mount out real quick. That's going to make a huge difference in this thing. And it should be a relatively quick and easy swap, and it's something that I think most people are going to want to do. Let's go. Since everything else is yellow now, let's go. We're going to go purple. We're going to go yellow and purple. So yeah, this is the Bribrain mount. And I'm really impressed by it. It's very lightweight. Let's get a before and after on the weights. And it's staggeringly strong. I don't understand how it's as strong as it is. Just the camera mount is 0.8 grams. The whole quad right now is 19.5. Let's see what happens here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. In the chat, Craig says, Newbie Drone webpage says $80. Yo, $80. What? If this thing is durable, that is a ridiculous deal. Yes, it is a little bit heavy, but I think we're about to fix that. I believe. And the image quality looks really good. $80. Is that might be the cheapest that like any Tiny Whoop has ever been. I don't know if a Tiny Whoop with a camera on it has ever been $80. I don't remember what those old school Eachines were though. So do I have another? I'm tempted to just I know I have another BI camera somewhere. At this point, you would unscrew these screws. No, let's do it with this. Let's do it with this. Okay, so you unscrew the screws from the side. These are these are 1.5 millimeter screws on the side. M2 screws. All right, and then this camera should just push out of here. Yep. And then we've got this TPU piece that's wrapped around. So we're gonna just remove that. All right. Pull it off the front of the camera. Got it. Okay. And so the mount with the TPU, with the screws, is, yeah, 1.8 grams. So we're going to save an entire gram here, 1.9 grams for that camera mount and the screws. So now we're going to take this. This is a new, I have not seen this version of the BI before. This is a new version of the BI camera. Take it and we just push it into the mount here. There we go. Lens sits all nice and flush on the front there. Make sure it's all the way in. The only problem is going to be these antennas are just going to be like flopping around in the middle of nowhere. So I'm going to put a little bit of a kink in these antennas. What you would eventually want to do is like put a little dot of E6000 on the back here and then glue the antennas to this thing so that they're standing up. E6000 is super easy to peel off. For right now, we're just going to leave them all gangly because E6000 takes 24 to 48 hours to cure. But for a couple of batteries, we should be totally fine here. All right. And get that camera plugged in there. Cool. You know what I'm going to do in the interim? I'm going to wrap these antennas around the camera. So I plugged it in here. Let me get this little guy going. I'm going to take the camera and I'm going to wrap it around the antennas. And I'm going to use the camera wires to hold these antennas straight up. See that? There you go. And I'm just going to use these antenna wires, see that? To hold these antennas straight up in the air. That way they don't get down into the props. Cool? And so now this is always a little bit of a struggle to try to get these screws in through. What I find is having a little precision screwdriver that's magnetic, really, really helps. And then you get it started in the TPU, and then if you're having troubles, just use something to open up the hole in the TPU. Sometimes when the TPU prints, the hole will have like a little string of TPU across it, and it'll just kind of be a pain. I got pretty lucky on that one. Let's see if these other two are as clean. Yep, good to go on that one. If you get it spinning, it usually helps too. Okay, there we go. Just push this mount back. Like when you're turning that, it'll make this leg like have this like little forward memory. Push it back. Otherwise, the camera won't sit perfectly level. You'll see when you look down from the top the first time. This one's going to be a pain. I can already see that the hole in the TPU is not much of a hole. Yeah, see? So this one's going to be a pain. I like to take this little 0.99 millimeter drill bit here that I use to drill props out, and that's a nice way of just kind of getting in there and just removing a little bit of material. Let's see if that did the trick. Ah, come on, man. Oh, Canon. Get in there, come on. Let's try this one more time. Go, 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 go. Yeah, 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 yeah. Gotcha. All right, good to go. Camera mount is on. Again, push this up. Push it back. Get it? So that it's camera's pointing straight down. Cool. And then the back one, just to hold the AIO in. Super easy. And just like that, we saved an entire gram from this build, which is going to put it at 18 point something. And now look at these antennas sticking straight up, see? Because they're looped around this wire. Isn't that slick? We are now at 18.5 grams. Happy days are here again. That is what a lot of the Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoops weigh. So yeah, this should get us a little bit of runtime back. I don't have any more 300 mAh batteries charged though. Yes, I do. We're going to run a 260 though real quick. We're going to run a 260 and then we're going to run a 300. And then that'll be the end of the live stream. Maybe we'll do two 260s. That 300 was charged, but it's been sitting there for a couple of days. So here comes a 260. Again, some of these 260s are whooped. So if this doesn't run very long, it's because of that. Oh, Canon, man, you are pissing every single person off that uses one of your cameras and is trying to live stream. Oh boy, it's unreal. Okay, 260, here we go. Good timing on that. And away, up, up, and away. Whoa, yeah. All right, so now we've dropped a gram. Look at our cruising throttle values. See it? 25, 33, 28, 29, 31, 33, 32, 30. It's close enough. I have that throttle mid set at 32. That is close enough. Yeah, now we're talking. These Newbie Drone 702 30,000s make great power. Oh! So, momentary switch, throttle down. Yeah, I gotta get better at that. Hey. All right, let's try to get the mega power loop. Here we go. Oh, so close. Let's try it again. Nope, wasn't even close. Didn't get the elevation. This 260 is one of the ones that's hurting. I can tell because it's already giving me a low battery warning. So we're going to fly another 260 after this. All I had to do was hit the switch. Ah! Oh my god, why did I just fly directly into the corner of the gate? Where'd Teddy go? Teddy Spaghetti, where'd you go? There you are. He's checking on Florence. This thing flies great, man. Oh. It says battery dying. So the low battery warning is says battery dying. That's fun. Minute and 44, but this battery was giving me low warnings pretty early. So let's run another 260. And it'll probably be better. We're just waiting on this 300 to get all the way up to 4.35. It's sitting at 434 because it's been charged for a couple days. Another 260 real quick. Oh my god, YouTube shat the bed again. Way to fail at everything. Pop out chat. I do have a, if you guys decide to get this, I do have a an affiliate link for NewbieDrone. It's over on CiottiFPV.com. Damn, dude, this is great. It also doesn't look like, and I haven't necessarily been paying attention, but it doesn't look like the OSD is flickering, which is awesome. That was a problem that they had with their OSD on the last Hummingbird and the last Acroby. There it is. I didn't stick the landing though. $80 is absurd, but yeah, make sure you use my affiliate link if you don't mind. Other than durability, this is pretty rad. And I don't know. I mean, I've been crashing it, and it hasn't blown up yet. Some of these hits have been somewhat hard. Nothing like completely insane though. God, Teddy, you almost got a tiny whoop to the ass. Oof. Tried to do a big throw, but I bailed when I hit that wire. Ah! All these crashes are very normal for me if you're new here. Crashing tiny whoops is the best. It doesn't break anything usually, and it allows you to try really hard shit. Every single tiny whoop that I fly, I crash this much. I don't understand why it won't turtle mode over right now. I don't know what it... Oh, it's all the way stuck under the couch. Hold on. Teddy, yeah, get it out, buddy. Do something useful. Oh, yeah. It was way under the couch. I don't know how it got that deep under there. Yeah, this is really good. This would, if this is durable, this would be a great, like, spec race rig. Because it's only $80. Teddy. Brother. I think it would have gotten him. Man, look how bright those LEDs are. They're lighting him up. Yo, the tune is great too. I totally forgot about that. It's got that it's got that wacky tune on it. Man, homeboy is out to get this one. He doesn't. He's not usually this aggressive. All right, so minute and 39 runtime. That's not great, but come on. Will you charge 300 mAh battery? Again, these little 260 batteries that I have sitting here, I keep running them because I want to destroy them the rest of the way. Let's put another one through it. A bunch of these are just hurting. You'll get better runtime than this on somewhat fresh 260s. But I would run this on 300s. These motors make a lot of power, and the 300s will really pair better with these motors. Hold on, let me get this antenna poking up in the right direction. There we go. All right, another 260 real quick. Hey. Ah! Oh! Oh, I tried to get a sneaky railgun in there. We're getting some crashes in, though, and it's holding up. Oh, god damn you. Ah! I mean, in fairness, I am inside the PSVR2 goggles. Tell me I can get out. Oh, boy. I don't want to... Am I upside down? I'm upside down. Oh, I got out of them. That's the first time I've gotten out of those goggles. Oh, no! Oh! Oh! I don't usually do that, but sometimes you just got to be creative. Oh, I can't believe I clipped that. I can believe I clipped that. So the props are starting to get beat up. This is the one main problem that I have with the Azzy props. The tune is fine though. I'm really surprised at the tune looks very weak, but I think the motors just make really good power. Yeah, no real need to change this tune. I will, but I'm not gonna do it today. Damn. What was that? I can't see the runtime behind the studio light there. Minute 19. Yeah, I really charged through this battery. This 300 is at 3.5. It's not all the way charged, but it's close enough. And I'm, yeah, it is like way past 9 o'clock. Jesus Christ, it's almost 10 o'clock. Here's a 300 mAh battery that's not old and moldy. We'll get somewhat of a runtime out of this. Last battery of the live stream. Thanks for hanging, friends. I'm going to not fly like a total lunatic the entire battery for this one. Let's do at least a little bit of cruising around and just immediately crash. Ah! Fine. A little bit of cruising around. We'll go upstairs. We'll just relax. Just relax. Oh, God, Teddy! Oh, he's so aggressive tonight. What is your deal? I wanted to do a right side orbit, but I was getting a little close to Maggie. Buddy boy. Why are you so angry, dog? Ooh! He's really going for it tonight. Ah! There's a good hard crash. Actually, let me put a yeah, I want to put a couple hard crashes into it. That was pretty good. Let me try this really cool dive move. Not really a dive, but up here and then okay, and I hit the goddamn stairs. What a lunatic. Oh, no, the crazy back flip front flip thing. Here we go. Yeah! That hit the railing good and hard. I'm not going to do like a full-blown just hammer the hell out of it like I did the one time. But we've put a bunch of crashes into it, and it's held up pretty good so far. I mean, it's held up great. The propellers need to get swapped out, but that's Azzy props for you. There it is. Okay. That ain't coming out. How is that so jammed in there? Oh boy, that is jammed in there. Ugh. So we're at 2 minutes. Oh yeah, this battery's about done. So the BetaFPV 0702s, the VCI 0702s, and these NBD Drone 0702s are a lot less efficient than the Happy Model 0702s. And so that's what you're seeing here. A lot of you guys are used to me getting 3-4 minutes on a similar setup to this. And that's all it is. And so 2 minutes 25 from this is not a brand new 300 mAh battery, but it's not a whooped battery like a bunch of these 260s are. That's about the runtime that you're gonna get out of a rig with any of those non-Happy Model 0702 motors. So yeah, that's about what I would expect. There it is. That's where I am gonna change the propellers. That's about it though. BT 2.0 or A30, camera mount, and run these Azzy props. They're great, but they're gonna get beat up. And then when you change them out, I mean, they give you some extras, so maybe blow through all the ones that they give you. But in the end, you're going to end up with like an HQ ultralight 1.2 by 1.2 by 2 or 1.2 by 0.9 by 2 by 3. And then you'll have a propeller that performs just as good, but is significantly more durable. Really good job for $80. That is one hell of a tiny whoop for $80. I don't know of any. Yeah, there's nothing that can touch this. If this AIO holds up, this is a ridiculous deal. Great power. Tune works completely fine. I'm gonna mess around with the tune a little bit. I did catch a couple little spots where it just didn't have enough P&D gain. So I'll see if I can push the tune a little bit. But I mean, that is insane for $80. Really, really, really impressive. Good job, Newbie Drone. Damn. I'm gonna fly this some more. Oh yeah, and that's with the VTX at 25 milliwatts. Yep, which is what you want for flying around the house. When you start to crank the VTXs up, it's just going to create more multipathing. So if you're like a tiny whoop, you're going to fly it near yourself, 25 milliwatts is what you want. If for some reason you go to fly this outside and you want to go behind your neighbor's house, yeah, 100 milliwatts. But keep it at 25 because this is flying in the house. Craig says, what props will you replace with? My two favorites right now are the ones that I just mentioned. The HQ 1.2, 1.22s, 1.2, 0.93s. Yeah, that's about it. Good job. Newbie Drone, I'm impressed. Hummingbird V4. It's a buy. Anybody know what that's from? It's a buy. A couple quick mods, and yeah, you're in the mid 18 gram range with about the same runtime that you're going to get from the non-Happy Model motored rigs. Very cool. Thanks for hanging, friends. I'll see you guys on Sunday at 3 o'clock, CiottiFPV.com to support me. There's also a Newbie Drone affiliate link over there. If you're going to buy this, do me a favor and use my affiliate link. Just change your Newbie Drone bookmark to my affiliate link, and then you don't even have to think about it. But yeah, like I said, I'm impressed. Very cool. Here comes some more flight footage from the 04 1S rig chasing the little drift cars again. Cole Powers got it. That's a deep cut there. I'm impressed, Cole. I'm gonna do a whole bunch more drift car chasing tomorrow, and I'm excited. Where's the window? There it is. Enjoy, my friends. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Whenever you're ready, man. I'm here for you, computer. There it is. Love you, bye! Go to my website and support me or I'll die!